Alright friends, are you ready for more evidence that shows proof that mountains are not mountains? Mountains doesn't exist. They are nothing more than melted buildings. That's right, melted buildings. The only problem is you have been deceived from the moment you was born here in this place. They tricked you with school indoctrination programs and politics, fake news stories, and also deception in the movies to manipulate the way you view your reality. So when you go out there in nature and you see one of these formations, you think you see something that came from tectonic plates billions of years ago and shit. But that's a lie. And I'm doing my best here to try to prove it to you. So the only thing I'm asking from you is that you put everything you thought you knew to the side for a moment while you're watching these videos. This one, the upcoming ones, and also if you have the time, please go back and watch the older videos as well, especially the documentary. You'll find them on my channel here, because there is tons of evidence, thousands and thousands of photos that I have shown, gone through them in detail, even brought the pen out and did some drawing on them to explain to you what we are actually looking at. So I don't think there is anything else I want to say before we get started, other than you're fucking awesome and I love you. So let's get to it, okay friends? Let's get to it. Beautiful, wonderful people. So again, like what we have seen plenty of times on this channel, is a formation that looks something like this, because many of them look very similar, because they used to be similar buildings that melted. Of course the outcome will be similar. The thing here about formations like this is the mainstream nonsensical dumbasses, they tell you that some primitive people came here and carved these openings, these windows and doors into this mountain, right? That's nonsense. What this used to be was a huge red brick building that melted down because of the X-Factor event. Intense heat coming very often from the bottom. Looks like an overload of electricity that came through from the bottom, clamped through the buildings. The buildings got fucking hot and they melted. And then densified, which seems to be a pretty rapid happening on its own. When it densified, happened very fast. But this is the outcome of it. Looks like this. And then, you know, they came along and they wanted to hide this from you, so you don't know what was really taken from us, the glorious old world empire. So they came up with lies to deceive you, and I'm gonna attempt my best to help you break this programming, so you can see these formations for what they truly are meant to be. Next one. Here, those are not Titan cocks. Okay. I know they look like dicks, but they are not, okay? This used to be some kind of towers with spires, probably Antiquitech on the top, etc. Red bricks, and they just melted. And you know, you have plenty of them. You can even see one of the openings here. What could have been a door or a window, who knows? But yeah. This is also just tops of buildings that's melted, not penises. And here another so-called cliffside, whatever, they call this a mountain. And just look at all this concrete looking thing that's just melting down, and you can still recognize this section of the building is still pretty much intact here. This is what we call a pocket of survival, because for some fucking reason, this section managed to survive. We can still recognize it. Nobody carved this. It's a good lie, yeah, the carving thing, but that's not what we are seeing here. Just look at, you have to recognize the details you can see in some of these formations here. They look exactly like the buildings they built, with these column looking things here, and you know, you even got something over there. Why carve something over there for no reason? Do you know how much time it takes to carve something like this? And even in primitive times with bronze chisels and hammers, it's impossible. It's plain impossible. This is just the remains of a melted building. Just keep an open mind, my friends, okay? Here as well, you get this section here. Can I draw? Okay. This area here is what we call pocket of survival, because you can still see some of the structure of the building. But the rest of it, just look at this. This was all red bricks and they melted down, started to rock curtain itself, the whole building. The building melt came over itself and covered whatever was underneath. But here in this area, all of this melt here didn't manage to cover all of it, so we can still see what's underneath right here. But here we cannot. So that's why it was rock curtained, the whole thing here. We have seen this. I know some of the photos for the Eagle Eye crew, the ones who already know. Some of the photos will be shown again and again and again, but that's because there is constantly coming new people on here, and evidence like this is just so good that I have to show it again to the new people. And I know that many people will not take the time to go back and watch all the videos, of course, because it will take so long. So it's understandable. So that's why I'm just gonna show some of the photos again. But I'm trying to keep most of the photos as new evidence that I haven't shown before. Here another melted building, looking very concretey, and just see, you can still see openings here, up here, some kind of wall up here, just very, very damaged and melted, almost beyond recognition. But the Eagle Eye crew can still see what this used to be. That wasn't the biggest photo, so I will zoom a little bit on this one, so you can hopefully see it better. And this is like the same as we saw 2 photos ago. You see the same kind of, you can recognize some of the structure here, openings, doors, windows, some stairs here. You know, you see some of the shapes that was in the building before it melted, but now it looks like this because it got very fried, cooked and damaged. By the way, most of the photos from today is from Pinterest. Has amazing photos. There is amazing photos on there, but you know that the resolution ain't the greatest. You know, I can't get full screen photos from there. So it just gotta be this, like this today. I'm sorry. I've shown this before as well, but yeah, just if you're new to this, just picture melted buildings instead of carvings, and when you look at this, and what you think, because this was a huge building and it melted, and some of the openings and the structure here, structural value, still remained here, so you can still, you know, you can still recognize it. Nobody carved this shit. And here, this is a street somewhere, and this is the current ground level up here, with these bushes here and little trees. And then if you start digging, you find brick walls going down, windows and shit under the ground. And that raises a couple of questions, and one of them is, how deep do this building go, right? This structure here, Because this is obviously some remains of an old building that was here in the past. How deep will it go if you keep digging, keep digging? I don't know. And why is it underground? Why is it buried here? There is explanation for this as well. People call it mud floods. Personally, I call it melt floods or brick floods, whatever. And I have explained this in previous videos as well, but I can do it again very fast, very quickly right now. And that is because when these buildings melted, sometimes they turned into a kind of a, say, a liquid when they melted, and it started to flow everywhere. These buildings was huge, okay? Picture mountain-sized buildings and they are melting. That's a lot of mass that has to go somewhere. That creates the brick flood, because this all this building melt start to flow and bury whatever is surrounding it, and then it densifies and breaks down into sand and mud and clay and all kinds of stuff. That's my explanation of the mud flood and why so much things are buried here in this place. This one, melted building, from a melted building perspective, this is a very self-explaining picture here. Still see openings, you can see some of the spires, domes on the top, very damaged and melted, but still recognizable as a building. If you got the eyes to see, that is. Just keep looking at these photos and think for yourself, because it's not as crazy as it sounds like if you're new to this, if you just keep looking at them. And here I think this is the area we saw in the last video. Just we saw it from a bird's eye view last time. So this is down on the ground level, and you can see the pockets of survival here, all these brick walls, buildings here and openings. And up at the top here, it didn't do very well, and now it turned into this very destroyed building here, and they call it a cliff. That's nonsense. It's not real. It's not a cliff. It's a melted building. And here again, just a little impression in the building melt that's still recognizable. They call this the dwarf's door or something. I don't know the size of this door, but you still got some of the columns melted, of course, and everything around it very melted. Nobody carved this. This is just a pocket of survival. And here, another pocket of survival, old wall building, and you can see the bottom here. You know, heat coming from the bottom, climbing up through the bricks, frying it, cooking it, making it turn into this messy looking thing here. Swelling, heat expansion, melting. You know, what heat can do to things is what's happening here, if that makes sense. I hope so, my friends. And here, I think this was in Greece. I think we have seen this before, but you can see pockets of survival on the top here. I hope this isn't too small for you guys. Here, pocket of survival on the top, and the rest of the building just looks like a mountain. It's so cooked, thoroughly cooked here, that you can't recognize anything. This is not a natural formation. This wasn't formed from tectonic dumbfuckness plates from billions of years ago, because it's not even a globe. There is no tectonic dumbfuckness plates here. So how can this be? What is this? It's a flat plane. So what are mountains? Why are they here? That's what I'm trying to explain to you. And also you gotta think here, if this was built, say, 500 years ago or whatever they say, how the fuck do you bring these materials here, all these bricks and stones, whatever they used, up here in primitive times? How do you do that? How is that possible? I don't know. I can't find it possible. That's why I'm raising the questions. And here at the coast, the ocean is of course flood waters. This is the flood. And just see here, these arches, this little bridge thing, and look here how melted it got here and damaged. In this, I'll draw it for you. Here. Heat expansion, swelling, melting, cooking, getting fucked up here. This is a part of the building. This used to look like this. And this is also cooked, by the way. This used to be red bricks. But the red bricks can do magic tricks and turn into these stones and stuff when they got cooked and fried and damaged. They changed properties. Here, this is in France, I think. Not that it matters, but if I remember the location, I will mention it. But it doesn't matter because it's in this fucked up realm somewhere. And you can see here, this wall, windows, doors, is, you know, I'll have to bring the drawing here. So you see this, and how it's just fused in together on either side here. That's because this used to be a part of this building, but this one melted here on either side, and then it started to heat expand from the sides and started to cover this wall here. That's what's happening here. Believe it or not, that's what I see. That's what the Eagle Eye crew sees. So this is a building, this is a pocket of survival, and it's just completely damaged. And we also got a tunnel. I don't know if they dug this out in modern times or if it was already an arch opening here, no idea. But they can still drive cars through here. And here I show you, sometimes I will show you photos of old wall buildings like this, because this is one that survived. One of the small ones, of course. The mountain-sized ones are all melted, but you still have many buildings looking similar to this all across this plain, everywhere. In every city, basically, you find buildings like this. And this is from the old world. And if you're new to it, you just gotta think of electricity here when you see something like this. Because you have these antennas, very often made of copper, etc. And you see one main antenna in the center, and very, very often here you have four more. Hold on. You have one antenna on the top in the center. Then you have four more here, four more here. On this side, we can see them because they're on the other side of the building, but you know what I mean. And then we got here 1, 2, 3, and one on the other side, 4. And you just get this. Imagine this electricity coming from the top, jumping down and into the building, powering everything from the free energy ether. Here as well, you see this antenna. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You see this. Yeah, identical pattern basically everywhere. And look at all this copper, Antiquitech, whatever they are. And see the glorious architecture, the detail, red bricks, upgraded concrete molds on the outside of the bricks. That's the white you see here. The arches. Just notice the quality of architecture compared to today's buildings. And here, this photo is taken early 1900s, I think it is. And here again, you see something like this, the early 1900s or late 1880s. I don't remember. But it's an early photo, and you see something like this. And the first thing that comes to my mind is, that's fucking electric. What do you think? And these buildings here in the back, all these antennas everywhere, it's electric. I will zoom on this. I think this was in China. I might be mistaken, so don't kill me if I am. And just look what you see here. A so-called mountain, and you see a wall in here, melted into it, more patterns up here, and then you get these walkways. I think they are just halfway buried in this building here. Because this was a big red brick building, started to melt and expand, and you know, it started to cover itself from, you know, the inside and out. And from the top and down. started to melt down. Rock curtain. Interesting evidence, don't you think? And here, very obvious that this shit is melted, to me at least. You see some stairs here, still remained a little bit, and then you see some openings, doors, windows, whatever, barely any, but some are there. And just look how melted it is, guys. Looks like goddamn melted ice cream. Fried, cooked, damaged. Not a natural formation, and nobody carved anything here. Another melted building, the front of it barely survived, but it survived. You can recognize it as a building, nobody carved anything, and the top is just completely muffed up, fucked up. Look at all the holes here from the viscousness, started to bubble, and then it densified, and this is the result of it. Another, are they too small? I don't hope so. Sorry if the photos are a little weird in you know, the resolution. They are a little tall and not as wide, but will do. It will do it for now. I might find other photos for my next video. I'll just have to look through this after and see how it is. But yeah, melted building, openings here, column. Still see some square structure up here. More openings, just completely mangled. And notice the red as well. Sometimes they're still red, even if they're fucked. Here is a right scale photo for you guys. Just wanted to show you some ruins. More ruins from the old world. You can see here these big blocks, the red bricks. They got heat expanded and they turned into big blocks in some cases. Nobody built like this. This was just normal red bricks. All of this, everything here in this photo used to be red bricks. But now they are big blocks. Heat expansion. And you see, look at this stairway down here. How far down will it go? What's underneath here? I want to find out. And here, pocket of survival on the top, pockets down here at the bottom, and you can see the heat coming from the bottom here, climbing up and just completely mangling the building. You can see some arches here buried or fused into the melt here around the top. Heat expanded, you know. Imagine this. Buildings are always straight down, you know. So look at this, what happened to it. All the melt expanding and melting down, and this is the result of it. Very good evidence here. Melted building. Survived at the top because the heat came up to here, and then, you know, the X factor stopped, and this managed to survive because of it. This is a very popular photo in the mud flood research group, and the street level used to be about here, and then you dig it up and then you go further down and you see arches and all kinds of stuff far under the ground, all around here. Look here, street level here, and you see arches way the fuck down underground. So what's underneath us, guys, and how far down? Do you realize that we live on top of ruins? Everywhere is ruins. Because it used to be a plain white electric city here in the past that melted. And then we are the inheritors. We just came and started to build on top of it. So how many excuse me, English, fuck. How, now I even forgot what to say. Yeah, how many buildings will be intact but still underground, right? What if you dig down and you find huge buildings that's still there, just buried? How far down? 100 meters, 200 meters? I don't know. I really want to know, but you know, it's difficult. I want to know how far down it goes before we find the real ground level, because the thing is, none of us, not me, not you, have ever seen the real ground. We have just seen building melt, building ash, you know, mud, they call it, sand, they call it, mountains, they call it, you know, islands and shit. But they are not, it's not the earth itself, it's not the earth, it's remains of buildings. Old photo, don't know the location, I'm sorry, because I don't care. And look at all these antennas here. Look at the glorious architecture. And this is the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and the reason it's leaning is because it was a tower standing straight, and then the ground becomes liquid and viscous, and the building starts to tip over, but then it densified, and bam, you have a leaning tower. Very easy, very simple explanation. Nobody built it like this. It's nonsense. It started to sink and fall. It wanted to tip over, but then it densified very fast. I don't know why. And here, pocket of survival, buried. They have, of course, you know, painted it and fixed it in more recent times. But the whole building is behind here, very mangled and destroyed. But this section survived, and you can still use it, as you can see. People are living here still in a melted building. You just put concrete, exterior concrete on here, and you paint it, and it will look like this. But it's a pocket of survival. Another pocket of survival here. Can you see how it's starting to, you know, the rock curtain here, the bigger building, is melting down. It's a little difficult color maybe, but it's melting down and starting to cover this building around it. But then it densified, and you have a building halfway in the mountain, because this was viscous flowing down, rock curtaining down here, and it wanted to cover this building. If this was melting for longer, all of this mass would have, you know, covered this whole thing, and like this, and we would never be able to see it. But lucky for us, the X Factor didn't last that long, so we can still find shit like this. Pockets of survival, halfway buried. And look what happened to the red bricks here, turned into stones and blocks, completely cooked. Here another interesting little thing. Up here you can see cooked, very cooked arch, and you see the bricks here almost turning into mud. Looks like it's turning into mud, starting to turn into mud at least around here. But some of it survived, and you can still live in it. See here, very, very interesting evidence, guys. Another pocket here, and you gotta think, people. This brick building here, how do you build like this? I have the answer. You don't. You don't build like this. This is a pocket of survival. The whole building, the whole mountain, cliffside here is a building, and this section here survived. It didn't melt, and now we have some structures that's impossible to build because nobody built them like this. It's very easy, guys. It's simple, very easy. More pockets of survival here. You can see how buried they are. The whole thing here is a melted building, and for some fucking reason this did not melt, but the rest modified, I guess, turned into sand mud. It's interesting. And here again you see a wall, pocket of survival here, and the rock curtain is starting to come down from all sides, heat expansion, etc. And starting here, you can see here, hold on, let me start over here. Sorry, I was a little too quick. You see here, how it's starting to come from the side and cover the wall here and here. And it want to cover it, but they didn't have time to, and now we have this wall that's fused into the so-called mountain here. Because it's a melted building, and this is a pocket of survival. Up here is something too. And pocket of survival. And the rest, you can see many openings here, all over the place. Turn into dust here. That's what sand is really building ash. It's dustified, all of this buildings. This was very, very hot. See all the openings here, it's very fascinating. But for some reason, this section did not melt, and then you have a pocket of survival, and people are living there. Because you can. Inheritors. See down here, arches, melted, cooked, damaged. And this is also famous, shown this before, but I'm showing it again because it's amazing. It's amazing evidence here. Melted buildings, you can see the imprints here. Columns, arches, and over here as well, and the rest just completely melted. And you can see some arch openings, very cooked here in the front. You see some arches, openings, etc. Utter loneliness, I don't know what that is, but look at these melted buildings. Yeah, do you see it? See, this is the same as the second photo of the dicks. Same kind of spires at the top that melted, of course. That possibly had Antiquitech features to it. And look down here, how melted it is. Cooked. And this one, I'll zoom in for you so you can see better. Look at this for a melted building. Pocket of survival. Columns. See some of the bricks turn into blocks, and down here starting to melt and get deformed. The windows here, or doors, whatever they are. And up here completely mangled and fucked up. Fucked up. Sorry, let's see. Okay. And here. Yeah, look what happened to the bricks here, guys. You see? This is a cooked and mangled building. You can see the arch getting covered, fused together into the so-called mountain on either side. Because this was heat expanded here, bubbling, swelling around it, and the bricks got mangled, cooked here, turned into this messy stones and blocks. And here, turned into this swelling of the building. Messy. Oh, that was a small photo. I'll zoom, little bad, not as sharp quality, but you can still see what it is. Tops of buildings, tops of buildings, tops of buildings, all covered in or surrounded with building ash, brick flood, melt flood here. All this was buildings. Yes, all this was buildings. Okay, got it. And here, more zooming for you. You can see a building here, buried from the side, pocket of survival, and the rest of it very melted, rock curtained, can't recognize what's underneath. Was a huge building, and this section here survived for some fucking reason. And this one, I think I've shown this before, but this is also very interesting. You see the domes, the building structure here, the wall, and right here you see how the building melt here came over it right here, and it's getting swollen. Look, this here used to be like this, but it got heat expanded and fucked up. And down here you barely see openings, remains of windows, openings, whatever. And yeah, it's just a pocket of survival. Up here is something more, openings. Pocket of survival. Nobody built like this. More melted building. Yeah, you can see the brick lines here. are not horizontal. They started to slide down, sink down, I guess. Not horizontal here, but very, very mangled and melted. And my face is not in the way. Look here around this window. The red bricks are still intact. It's just an interesting look here at the swelling. This is a straight wall, and look down here how mangled it is. Swollen and heat expanded. And here I wouldn't call this a pocket of survival, but you can still recognize the openings in some of these buildings. This one was very cooked, turned into ash mostly. Look here at the bottom with these people. Here, how you can just take your hand and it will fall through your fingers, like, you know, it's just ash. The whole building here is, you can probably knock it off with a hammer or something very easily. Very cooked. And here, this is the one we saw earlier, but this is a little bit further away, so you can see it a little better here. How do you build this? Explain to me. This is one of the best evidences you have here. Just this is the pocket of survival. The rest of the building here is completely cooked, fucked up, and mangled. Beyond recognition here, just look at it. But this little section here survived. Lucky for us, the Eagle Eye crew, so we can find the photos and show them to the world. And make them see. Make them understand. The whole background, just building ash, nothing left, just destroyed wasteland basically. And here, a pocket of survival. And you see the swelling up here. I can't draw when I'm zooming, I'm sorry. See the swelling and how the heat came from the bottom and it got mangled and cooked. But it survived. Another pocket of survival, barely. And the rock curtains started to melt down from the top and started to cover it. Very, very, very destroyed building here. Melted buildings. My friends, melted buildings. And just wanted to take this photo in as well. Just old world technology. These steam locomotives just left out in somewhere in the middle of nowhere to decay, rot, and be forgotten. Here, oh, beautiful. More old world technology. Antiquitech antennas. Beautiful. And again, pocket of survival here. And you can see the goddamn bricks here turning into blocks. And you can also see how this section of the building started to get buried from the side, from the rock curtain heat expansion from the side here, the building here. And yeah, basically nothing left here. Here as well, starting to get covered from the top. And yeah, it's very destroyed. Ruins. And here, I don't know why there is this filter in the sky, but this is the remains. This is concrete mold statues from the old world. Excuse me. And when you see shit like this, you see there is nothing here to scale it with, but I picture this head here being pretty big. I don't know, maybe a man is up to, you know, fucking, if a man stands here, maybe his head is up to here or something. I don't know. But where is the rest of it? Right? Where is the rest of these heads here? How deep do they go? Or are they just heads? Shouldn't there be a huge fucking statue? And why is it buried? If so. Here, cooked facade of a building. See the apex, columns. Same as this, yeah, one of the first photos in Jordan. You see, very cooked and damaged. almost beyond recognition, but you can still see it, guys. This is melted. Do you start to see it? Please say yes. If you say yes, it will make my day better, okay? And here, pockets of survival on the top. You see the buildings going down. And here at the bottom, it started to get heat expanded and swollen, turning into block lines here. Bigger block lines. And something at the bottom here. And here, heat from the bottom up here, swelling the building, cooking it, mangling it. And of course all the red bricks turned into stones here, grey stones. This used to be red bricks. It's guaranteed, guys. And here you see a pocket of survival bridge here. You can see how it's buried and melted into the building here, down here. This was expanded too much. And then you have another one here. You still see the opening going over, because you know they had bridges from fucking building to building. You know, imagine if these buildings was the size of a mountain, then far up on the fucking 500 floor, whatever, far up in the fucking sky, you had bridges over to the next buildings, so you didn't have to go down and up for each building you went through. You could just fucking, I bet there was people who lived up on the buildings on the top, or very high up at least, that probably never even went to the ground level. They just lived up there. So 2 bridges from the old world, one going over there and one over here. Very melted. You can still recognize some of the walls, but they are very cooked and fucked. The background, extremely cooked and damaged. Red bricks, and then you have some pocket of survival here that's buried in building ash here. Very, very fine grains of sand. It's the last stage of the cooking. Thoroughly cooked, nothing left in it, just ash. That's sand, okay? Sand is not natural, it's devastated red bricks. And here, this was in France, I think. And you got some pockets of survival down here. But look here, guys. Look at this melted building. Cliffside here. See here. You see this little wall with the arch doorway here. And up here you see more brickwork. Here is a square. Another wall here. Pocket of survival, guys. Nobody built up here. And this is probably something they put up to strengthen it in modern times. I don't know. Could have been something that pocket of survival. You see brick lines. Look here. A wall up here. Pocket. And here. Right? Almost a window here. That's how you find the, look here, you barely see it. If you just focus on the buildings and stuff here, you won't see it, but if you really pay attention, you see what the fuck is this? And up here, right? Amazing evidence, guys. This whole thing was a building. And this is the coastline of France, I believe, and you can see the brick lines all the way here. Brick lines, brick lines, brick lines, brick lines. And in cathedrals and stuff, they very often have this kind of structure and shape all around it. So this could have been one that survived, brick lines. And then it looks like a tower spire that's barely sticking up from the flood. Right? It's not interesting. When you see this, just imagine the top of a church, so-called church, healing center, frequency center, and you just see this. just sticking up. This is the floodwaters. And here, very cooked. Very, very cooked and melted and damaged. Barely anything left, but there is something. Arches, very many arches. And it look how mushed up it is. Look here. Almost turned into almost all liquefied here from the cooking. And here, pocket of survival on top, and the heat from the bottom, heat expanded and swelling it and fucking it up, but the very top survived. And there you have a little bridge that survived, and the rest of them, not so much. Completely fucked up. Very, very damaged and melted. It is what it is, guys. And here, this is in Spain, and you see this bridge structure, how deep down it goes. All the way down here. Maybe even further, but it's melted and fucked. And then you have some pockets on the top. The whole city here is built on top of melted buildings, which is this shit here. Okay, brick lines, you can see. All this shit is melted buildings. This bridge survived, and some of the buildings on the top survived. Not natural, guys. And this is very far down. You don't get the proper perspective on this photo, but there is some photos when you see it from above, more from above, and it's very fucking far down there. Here, another building that's getting covered in itself. You know, you see that the rock curtain coming down and starting to cover it. This building is getting buried, basically. And you can still see the brick lines. Very melted, of course, but see the horizontal lines on this whole cliff, aka melted building. Block lines. And yeah, it's a building. Everything here is a building. Melted. And I've shown this before as well, but yeah, another very good example of something that's impossible to build, but it's still there. Because the rest of this building melted, but this section survived. Pocket of survival here. Amazing evidence. This is pretty far up as well. It's you can't build here. How do you get all these bricks? How do you get them up here? And how do you place them on the side of a fucking hill? You can't. It's impossible. And this is one of the best as well. Building here, pocket of survival, that's getting covered and buried. See here, this little one, how it's getting buried and how the building melt goes all around here. That's how it is. I think is this a painting? Or is it a weird photo on it? It looks weird, but it's a real. I don't know if this is a painting. I'm seeing it now as I zoom in, but it doesn't matter. It exists. I have seen many photos of it. This is in the same location, I think, very close by, and you see a pocket here getting buried. Pocket of survival, and the rest of the building just completely fucked up. Turned into a so-called mountain. And here as well. I don't like the quality on some of the photos when I zoom, but yeah, they are from Pinterest. So some openings up here at the melted building and some pocket of survival here. Just melted buildings, guys. Can I go further? Oh, that was all. Okay. So we managed to get through this video as well, my friends. Not too bad. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the evidence, and if you're new, then I hope you're curious about this whole thing, and that you will keep watching my videos until you know that it's melted buildings. It's something you know, just like the flat Earth, or that it's not a spinning space testicle, at least, right? Thank you all for spending time here with me today. I really enjoy all of you. My best friends are all inside this fucking computer. That's fucked up, but yeah, for now at least, for now. So yeah, I'm gonna turn off this video. Thank you all. If you enjoyed, please leave a like. You don't have to. I'm not gonna force you. And please share it out with people. If you have anybody you wanna help convince or attempt to convince, please share it out. It helps everyone, you know. And also, if you wanna donate, again, I'm just having to mention that please do it via the PayPal, because YouTube takes 30%, I think. So don't do that. Do it to PayPal. And yeah. Okay. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.